Greetings everyone, and welcome once more to Dracovin Empire. Are you ready to dive back into the mists and head to the domains of dread? Yes, we're heading back to Ravenloft today to learn about another of the Darklords, Thakok-An, master of Kalidnay, a realm from Athas in Dark Sun. Yes, somewhere in Dark Sun, ended up in Ravenloft. Who would have thought that kind of thing could happen? As unusual and rare as it is, the connections between the two do exist. And so, a little bit of Athas has been drawn into the Demiplanes of Dread, and we must talk about Thakok-An, her history, the stories about her, how she ended up in Ravenloft, and what perhaps ultimately happened. But if you're ready to dive into this journey, I'm your host and guide here, Dracovin, and I can lead you through the portals, through the mists. Only with me can you pierce the mists and head deep into Kalidnay. Be careful, be warned, you separate from me, you will be trapped in this room. But if you trust me, please do at least give me a tip before we go. Subscribe over on the side of things on YouTube sites. And let me know what you think of all this. Go see my video on the Dark Sun side of Kalidnay. Alright, the mists of rain. I lay traveled in. Take my hand. Do not let go. Danger only awaits in this room. We have now arrived. I must learn Kalidnay. There are two sources. The main one I'm using is Domains of Dread. This is the more updated version of it, but it was first introduced in Forbidden Lore. Forbidden Lore does have a small excerpt on Kalidnay and gives some basic information about it, but it also presents a different kind of version of things, which we'll talk about. In that one, Thakok-An is a man, wherein future information, both from Dark Sun and the Domains of Dread, is a woman. Was it just a mistake? Was Kalidnay, Thakok-An's king, really a queen? Hard to say. But we'll talk about all this. Let's begin with who Thakok-An is. On a general thing, if you see it, she is about 6 foot tall, average build for a half-elf. She's braided long hair on her back, accenting with twin yellow eyelids of her orbs. She wears a facial covering of many Athasians, and pieces of jeweled hide cover the upper parts of her face, with 2 large holes for eyes there. Her headdress is ornate, with triple ridges running down her skull and down her back. Loose flowing robes of brilliant white complete her garb, and she carries a bone spear delicately carved with symbols and sigils, and treats it as a symbol of her office, although technically isn't, interestingly enough. She is the head templar of her sorcerer king, Kalidnay, her ruler. We must look to Kalidnay. It was on Athas. It was one of the brutal cities of it. Brutal by a lot of ideas of sorcerer kings in Athas. But, interestingly enough, had very strict law enforcement, because even Kalidnay's Templars, Kalidnay being the sorcerer king of Kalidnay, basically put them under the law too. This is something that actually won't happen in a lot of city-states, so it makes it, in a way, very strict, but also relatively just, because even the laws that Kalidnay puts down have to be obeyed by everyone there. So it was a harsh but fair city. Unusual, actually, in Athas, because either it's fair or harsh, and neither or the other. Thakok-An was the right hand of Kalidnay. Whether this is a betrothed to be queen, a head Templar, the exact existence kind of is questionable by various sources. In the Ravenloft version of things, just look at her as the most loyal Templar, head Templar. But again, because of the multiple sources over the years, this is where one of those differences come in, is where was she? Also, again, the genders of the two of them could be up in the air, too. It's all story-based, all unknown, multiple sources, creates a mess. And they don't necessarily counteract each other in a lot of ways, too. Which is always weird. So, Thakok-An had her position by zealously enforcing the decrees and constantly extolling Kalidnay, basically appealing to the vanity of her sorcerer. But Kalidnay was seemingly unmatched in his defining magic. Very strong. Basically going deep into the directions of becoming a dragon of Athas, the ultimate goal of diving into defining magic. And this plot to basically kill and overthrow Kalidnay came to the ears of Thakok-An. Again, how much of this is true, how much of this is false, we don't know. But basically, she had an obsession, and whether it's the plot on his life or just the obsession, Thakok basically decided to save him, empower him, push him forward to becoming a dragon faster. And Kalidnay might already been doing that. That's the thing here, too. If you consider Kalidnay may have already been doing it. And that's perhaps why the rarity of something connecting to Demiplanes of Dread, Ravenloft, could have occurred. Two people enacting two different and powerful rituals to do the same thing at the same time that don't overlap. Go see my video on Kalidnay, the ruins and the possible destruction of them over in Athas. Regardless, though, she wanted to pay a high price and was willing to do it. She basically considered to a ritual where she sacrificed every last member of her family in a horrible, bloody ritual to Kalidnay. And it seemingly worked. Perhaps it did. Perhaps it worked at the same time as Kalidnay's own ritual attempts were at the same time. But effectively, the ziggurat, the head center of the city, cracked open. Horrible defiling magic swept through the city, killing many. Thakok-An was knocked out. Many died. And Kalidnay was transferred. This is the point in time where Kalidnay enters Ravenloft. Not all of it. There are ruins left behind on Athas. Perhaps a recreation with the remaining people drug in here with Thakok-An. Similarly speaking, perhaps part of Kalidnay remained on Athas. There's talk of a powerful dragon with no mind showing up there, and his mind trapped in powerful artifacts that he had. But also, part of Kalidnay is in Ravenloft. It's a fascinating thing. But basically, Thakok-An emerged from the rubble, saw the devastation, rebuilt things, rebuilt people, eventually found Kalidnay's body, unchanging, sleeping eternally, with perhaps no mind or soul left in the body. No connection to the dragon. Still the body of Defiler, still a powerful being, but still missing so much of its essence. Perhaps left behind on Athas. Because if none of the other Defilers could be drugged into the Demiplanes of Dread, perhaps demigods could? Perhaps this split with an awakening, a point to separate it, to dragon. So Kalidnay cannot awaken. Thakok-An is in a strange point because her actions may be basically a betrayal of Kalidnay. So he might just kill her if he awakens. But he also wants she also wants his favor. She's damned if she do, she dies if she not. That's what's going on. A terrible situation that she is in with her own defiler nature and the nature of Kalidnay. Because Kalidnay is still there and is still a powerful being, still has powerful defilation, and basically draws life energy from around him. If all the life energy disappeared, he would turn to ash and bones, decay around. So basically, Thakok-An is sacrificing life energy in the arena to keep him alive. It's a mess. Now we will talk about the city here, but its borders are a shimmering wall of heat that goes out hundreds of feet from the sea of silt that surrounds the island. We'll talk about that too. And the more you dive into it, the more damage you take, and overcomes even the immunity and the fire that some creatures have. So even a red dragon, as it would push into this border of heat and fire, would eventually burn to death. Think about that. That's the power of the border that can be closed by Thakok-An. She is a Darklord, nonetheless. You have to keep that in mind. here's one of the images of how it appears in Ravenloft. This is from the Domains of Dread. So, it's hot in Kalidnay. Really hot during the day, a red sun blasting the land, hundreds of degrees, over 100 degrees, 115 degrees. 3 greenish moons rise in the night sky, and temperatures plunge to just above freezing. It's a challenge. Water is very important, and there's only 2 settlements. Thakok-An in the north, and Kalidnay in the south, where water shows up. Wind blows across the thing, clinging to the skin, tearing you apart. Kalidnay was a city that once had 15,000 people. Now it's got 2,300 people. So the city is virtually deserted. The ziggurat is the only structure that is in good shape. Hey, it got repaired. The rest of the place falling apart. The fields around there, incredibly poor. Basically, all the food comes from Thakok-An in the north, which has great farmlands, but 2/3 of their food are sent to the city. And these people aren't really willing participants because armed caravans come in and steal all their stuff every year, leaving some of their people to go hungry. This place is also an island. Basically, the Sea of Silt, a natural thing in Dark Sun, in Athas, go see my video on that one, exists all around Kalidnay. So that area around it, that's Sea of Silt. It's Silt Sea that you need special things to even travel in, and even then, that only allows you to go in the shallows of the Sea of Silt. And the mists up here at night, rising from the silt surrounding the domain. Otherwise, it's endless sea in all directions of silt. It is a place of fire, heat, and death. Deserts filled with horrible creatures, banshees, monsters. And of course, it is of Athas. So, though metal weapons are something that do exist, mostly stone, bone, obsidian, because there isn't a lot of metal in here. Remember, Athas has a lack of metal in a lot of places, so they use other materials. It's the same here. We talk about the people of Kalidnay. They are a people that favor loose-fitting clothes. They tend to be light-skinned, with hair color ranging from reddish blonde to black. Shirts and vests are common for them. They wear masks and veils to protect their eyes and face from sandstorms. Psionics are a common thing. Hey, wizards are reviled because they connect to defiler magic. Water is more precious than gold. Spitting is a grave insult, and crying an expression of ultimate sorrow. There are no gods, only Kalidnay, the sorcerer king, who's effectively a deity here. The inhabitants of Thakok-An in the north hate the people of the city. They also believe Kalidnay has been usurped by Thakok-An. She technically has, in a way, though she had that position of authority. Because he's unconscious, she's basically just taken over. She was in that kind of position connected to him. They have no love for the Sorcerer King, but they do believe this head Templar is the source of it. They're like, hey, things weren't great under Kalidnay, but they were a lot better. So there are renegades and resembles in the underground. And the underground is riddled with Templar spies. Because guess what? I'm sure in amongst the Templar there are those that blame her. Arena combat is incredibly popular, and once a week, accused criminals battle themselves to the delight of the citizens to give life energy to the defiler. So yeah, Kalidnay is the undisputed law, the god, but with his seclusion, his disappearance, the Templars and Thakok-An basically have to continue his decrees and his devotion without him. And it's just a mess. And here's where we come to the ultimate fate, because we don't hear about Kalidnay in 5th edition. We might not. There's not a lot of things to talk about in 5th edition. And the fact is, in 4th edition, we saw that there was a shadowy version of Kalidnay in the Shadowfell version of Athas. It's plain there. Was it there since the creation of Kalidnay and Ravenloft? So does Kalidnay still remain? Or is that where it ended up? The people eventually died, the plane collapsed, and what remained of this realm ending up there. A shadowy representation of the great city, filled with shadows of the people that were there. Did Thakok-An fall? Was she overthrown? The ultimate fate of Kalidnay. And this is a picture from Forbidden Mode. I'm just going to use another picture of that. It's a little different, but it is, picture from there, where it was Thakok-An was a male and Kalidnay was a female. Sorcerer Queen, if you will. Again, all of these things makes for a mess of a story. And we do not know the ultimate result of it. We know there are these bits and pieces that you can piece together. Go see my conspiratorial, tinfoil hat version of things in the Kalidnay video of Dark Sun. I'm not going to repeat all that there. But the idea is that maybe this is gone. All the upheavals in Ravenloft. Separating out the connection to Athas even more. The fact is, this is a pinky finger that the Demiplanes of Dread had in Athas. It is hard for them to reach in, and they managed to reach in with this double ritual, and they found someone they could grab as a Darklord. Thakok-An. She was open to it. She was willing to do incredibly horrible things, even amongst what Templars, her laws, her rules are. She broke those laws. This was not a decree of her sorcerer. It was her decision to do something, to do horrible things, in the name of someone else. Perhaps in the name of love, adoration, obsession. But to do those horrible things, and to drive them into it. And that's kind of where we are. We do not know the ultimate fate of it. We know why Ravenloft was able to get that pinky in there, and drag in the realm. We know an aspect of it remains in that shadow plane. Was that always there? Was that an imprint from being drug away? Or is that what remains of it? I don't know. I can't answer that. You could answer that in your own stories. But certainly speaking, if you wanted to play Ravenloft nowadays, you could still use Kalidnay. You could just say it's during the time period it existed there, if it's gone. You could have characters from Athas. You could have characters from elsewhere. It's just the fact that it's this little connection between the two that there isn't a lot of connections between them. And I think that's one of those things that was established early on in Ravenloft, and just figuring everything out to pop. And that's why we have some different stories. But again, it opens it up for you out there to tell the story you want. You could have Thakok-An, whatever gender, and Kalidnay, whatever gender you want, to tell the story appropriate to what you want for a type of story. Because the different genders could mean different stories. Thakok-An as a woman serving a powerful man means one thing. As a man serving a powerful woman means another thing in a lot of ways. They do mean similar things. But to women, to men, it could also mean stories. Star-crossed love, these different ideas of why this realm ended up there, of different types of obsessions. You could develop this kind of story because it is a form of love. A twisted love. A love that makes a realm fall to darkness. And that story, and why you use Kalidnay, is deeply intrinsically connected to it. It's connected to Athas in a lot of ways, and connected to the defilement of a lot of things. There are a lot of interesting stories to tell here, but you have to deal with the existence as it is in lore, and of course the mess that is Athas in a lot of ways. But hey, maybe you want to. Maybe you have to story. But thank you for joining me, learning all about it, and diving in. That'll be it for today. Please check out the rest of my stuff, whether it's over on YouTube or Twitch. On the YouTube side of things, get a subscription. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments. I don't know if you said anything in the Kalidnay video of Dark Sun, but for this video here, I'm kind of finishing the, getting the sequel in here, and I hope you have some good comments about this side of things. I did want to give a little bit more information, a snapshot on the Ravenloft side of things. If you're just joining me over on Twitch side, I record all my tabletop stuff there. I do other things too, gaming, hanging out with friends, just chatting. But from tabletop stuff, check out things like my live plays. Again, still goes up on YouTube. Fall of Athas Wednesdays at 8. And my kind of talk show discussion thing, discussing tabletop Saturdays at 6. We talk about news of the week, we discuss topics. Check out my social medias, link below. And as I say, until the next time we dive into Dark Sun, Ravenloft, any of these other realms, I bid all of you out there a deep and wonderful farewell.